Let me explain. We all have 24 hours. Kings and queens, CEOs and janitors, rich or poor. We each get the same number. But what separates those who thrive from those who struggle isn't how much time they have, it's how they use just a fraction of it, 1 hour a day. That's all it takes to go from stuck to unstoppable, from average to excellence, from regret to results. Time is the most democratic resource on earth. Every human being, no matter their background, status, education, or circumstances, receives the same 24 hours each day. It's the one thing we all share in equal measure. Yet despite this equal distribution, the outcomes in people's lives vary dramatically. Some people become world changers, industry leaders, innovators, or deeply fulfilled individuals. Others struggle endlessly, feeling stuck, unfulfilled, and lost. Why? The difference often comes down to how we use the time we are given, particularly how we use the smallest portions of it, like just 1 hour a day. Think about this. 1 hour out of 24 is only about 4% of your entire day. It seems almost insignificant. It slips by quickly. 1 hour can pass while watching a Netflix episode, scrolling through your phone, daydreaming, or simply doing nothing of value. And yet, in the hands of someone who understands its potential, that same hour becomes a powerful force of transformation. 1 hour a day, if focused and used intentionally, can truly change your life. It's not a matter of having time. It's a matter of making time and assigning value to it. Many people say they're too busy to pursue their goals, learn something new, build better habits, or take care of their mental, emotional, or physical well-being. But the reality is, in most cases, the time is there. It's just being unconsciously wasted. We spend countless hours on passive consumption. We scroll, we binge, we delay, and before we know it, months or even years go by, and our dreams are in the same place we left them. What separates successful, fulfilled people from the rest isn't that they have more hours in the day. It's that they claim ownership of their time. They treat time like an asset, not a luxury. They identify 1 hour, even in the midst of a busy life, and they protect it like their life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. You see, 1 hour a day might not seem like much in the moment. Reading 10 pages of a book, writing a single paragraph, exercising for just 60 minutes, or practicing a new skill might feel small. It might feel like progress is slow or invisible. But over time, that 1 hour compounds. It accumulates like interest in a high-yield investment. That's how mastery is built. That's how momentum begins. That's how transformation takes root. Quietly, consistently, day by day. Let's consider a simple example. If you decide to read for just 1 hour a day, depending on your pace, you could read around 30-50 books in a year. Now imagine those books were focused on your area of interest. Finance, leadership, personal development, health, philosophy. How different would your thinking, your confidence, and your ability to make informed decisions be after absorbing 50 high-quality books? That's more than most people read in a decade. Or let's say you want to improve your health. 1 hour a day of focused movement, walking, running, lifting weights, practicing yoga, adds up to over 300 hours of exercise a year. That consistency reshapes your body, boosts your energy, and sharpens your mind. It's not about perfection, it's about frequency. Maybe your dream is to start a side business or learn a new craft. 1 hour each evening to study, plan, test, and improve could lead to a fully functioning brand or product within a year. You wouldn't even have to quit your job or risk your main income. You'd simply repurpose 1 hour from your existing schedule and reframe it as a building block. That is the power of 1 hour. Not because time itself is magical, but because intentionality is. The decision to use your time consciously instead of passively changes everything. It sends a signal to your subconscious that your life matters, that your goals are worth the effort, that you're not just drifting, you're designing, you're creating, you're choosing. So often we get trapped in the mindset that change requires massive overhauls, radical decisions, risky leaps, dramatic events. But most lasting change doesn't happen that way. It begins quietly in the invisible spaces. It begins when someone decides to show up for themselves 1 hour at a time. Success isn't found in once-in-a-lifetime events. It's forged in what you do daily, especially when no one is watching. In that way, time becomes a mirror. It reflects what we value. It shows us whether we're choosing growth or comfort, action or excuses, progress or procrastination. And the most beautiful part of it all is that no matter where you are in life right now, the next hour is still unwritten. You can still reclaim it. You can still make that choice. Any questions? You don't need more hours in the day. You don't just see sacred. Make it formal. You do not see sacred. You have to get your effort. This is not long enough. The question is not whether 1 hour a day can change your life. The question is, will you use it? We often overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we can do in a year. That's the irony of progress. We chase big breakthroughs, but ignore the quiet power of small, consistent steps. In a world obsessed with instant results, fast hacks, and overnight success stories, we've forgotten one of the most powerful truths of personal growth. Focused consistency beats occasional intensity every time. You see, intensity is exciting, it's emotional, it's dramatic. It's the person who joins the gym and works out for 3 hours on day 1, sweating buckets and pushing themselves to the edge. But what happens after 3 days? Burnout, soreness, excuses. And eventually the old habits creep back in. Intensity flames bright, but it burns out quickly. It's not sustainable. On the other hand, consistency is quieter. It's not flashy, it doesn't grab attention, but it works. It lasts. It compounds. That's why 1 hour a day, done with focus and repetition, can produce far greater results than 10 hours once a week filled with distractions or chaos. Imagine planting a seed. You water it for 1 day, drench it with everything it needs, and then walk away. Do you expect a tree to grow? Of course not. Growth takes nurturing, and nurturing requires consistency. 1 drop of water a day may not seem like much, but done every day, it sustains life. The same is true with your dreams. They don't need an explosion of effort once in a while. They need you to show up daily, especially on the days you don't feel like it. That's where focus comes in. It's not just about showing up. It's about showing up with your mind engaged, your heart invested, and your distractions put aside. One focused hour is worth more than 5 hours of scattered attention. You could spend a whole afternoon working while constantly checking your phone, shifting between tasks, and multitasking yourself into exhaustion, only to end the day wondering what you actually accomplished. Or you could give yourself a single focused hour, free from distraction, dedicated to one purpose. The difference in output and satisfaction is massive. It's in this focused consistency where real transformation happens. Not overnight, but over time. Think of any great achievement in history, whether it's in science, art, sports, or personal success, and you'll find that the people behind those accomplishments didn't rely on one moment of inspiration. They relied on routine, on rhythm, on the discipline of repetition. They didn't always feel motivated, but they were committed. And that commitment, that daily decision to engage the process, is what carried them forward when others gave up. The challenge today is that most people don't stick with anything long enough to see the results. They try something for a week, maybe 2. They don't see dramatic change, so they quit. But life doesn't reward quick quitters. It rewards those who persist even when progress feels invisible. That's where OneHourADay becomes your secret weapon. It's manageable, it's realistic, and most importantly, it's sustainable. Let's say you want to become a great writer. You don't need to lock yourself in a cabin for 6 months. You would need 1 hour a day. 1 hour of writing every day adds up to over 360 hours a year. That's more than enough time to write a full-length book, or 2. The same applies to fitness. You don't need to train like an athlete every single day. Just show up for 1 hour. Walk, lift, stretch, move. 1 hour daily can lead to a completely transformed body in a year. Not because of intensity, but because of consistency. Even relationships thrive on this principle. One intense romantic gesture doesn't make up for a lack of daily attention and connection. You can't buy back trust or intimacy with a single grand act. But if you give someone a consistent hour of real presence every single day, whether it's a partner, a child, a friend, that relationship strengthens and deepens over time. Why? Because consistency builds trust, while intensity can often feel like a performance. The beauty of focused consistency is that it also trains your character. It develops patience, perseverance, and emotional resilience. You learn how to work without applause. You learn how to keep promises to yourself. You build integrity, the kind that doesn't need recognition because it's rooted in who you are becoming, not just what you're doing. Focused consistency teaches you to live by principles, not moods. On the days when you're tired, when the results feel small, when doubt creeps in, that hour still matters. In fact, those are the most important days, because what you do when motivation disappears reveals your true discipline. And discipline is what builds destiny. So if you want to change your life, stop trying to move mountains in a weekend. Pick up the shovel and move 1 stone each day. Focus on that 1 hour. Protect it. Guard it like your future depends on it. Because it does. Whether it's learning, building, creating, healing, or growing, give that hour your full presence. Let it be sacred. Let it be consistent. Because in the end, success doesn't come from a few massive efforts. It comes from what you do consistently, especially when no one's watching. One focused hour a day isn't just a habit. It's a lifestyle. It's a contract you make with yourself. And over time, it becomes the reason your life transforms. One of the most empowering truths in life is that you can transform in any area of your life if you are willing to commit just 1 hour a day to it. That's it. 60 minutes of focused, intentional effort. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But the simplicity is the genius. We often wait for the right time to overhaul our lives, or think we need huge chunks of time to make meaningful progress. The reality is that real transformation doesn't require radical shifts all at once. It requires small, consistent daily decisions. 1 hour a day invested wisely has the power to reshape your mind, body, spirit, finances, and future. Let's start with your mind. Imagine setting aside just 1 hour every day to read, journal, or listen to a podcast on personal development, philosophy, or history. Over time, your mind sharpens, your vocabulary expands, your thoughts become more refined, you gain new perspectives and insights that others miss. While most people are passively consuming content, that alone sets you apart. After a year, you're not the same thinker you were before. You've elevated your mindset, and with that comes improved decision-making, confidence, and creativity. It doesn't happen overnight, but it absolutely happens. Now, think about your body. You don't need a fancy gym membership, a personal trainer, or a punishing boot camp. 1 hour a day of movement, whether it's walking, yoga, strength training, swimming, or even dancing, is enough to radically improve your health. Your body is built to move, to sweat, to stretch. When you invest in it, you not only look better, but you feel better. Your energy rises, your sleep improves, your focus sharpens, your immune system strengthens, you carry yourself differently, you stand taller, breathe deeper, and walk with more purpose. Over time, those physical changes influence how you see yourself and how others see you. Your health becomes a source of strength, not stress. But about your spirit, that inner world that so many people neglect. 1 hour a day spent in reflection, prayer, meditation, or deep thinking can ground you in a way nothing else can. We live in a world that pulls in 100 directions. It's loud, chaotic, and overwhelming. Without time to center yourself, you lose your peace, your clarity, your sense of direction. But if you carve out 1 quiet hour to connect to something bigger than yourself, call it God, the universe, your conscience, you start to find a stillness and strength that sustains you through life's storms. Your emotional reactions soften. Your gratitude deepens. You develop a sense of calm that isn't easily shaken. Now let's talk about skills. If you want to become a better speaker, a coder, a chef, a musician, or an artist, you don't need 10 hours a day. You need 1. An hour spent practicing, experimenting, failing, learning, and improving. Skill development is not about intensity. It's about repetition. 1 hour of practice each day means 365 hours a year. That's nearly the equivalent of a full college course in your chosen field without stepping into a classroom. And unlike formal education, you're learning exactly what you want to learn in the way that suits you best. Over time, you move from beginner to competent, from competent to confident, and eventually to expert. That's the magic of mastery. It rewards those who are patient enough to show up consistently. Transformation also happens in your finances. 1 hour a day focused on your money, budgeting, learning about investing, researching side hustles, building a business can completely change your financial future. Most people live paycheck to paycheck, not because they don't earn enough, but because they've never taken the time to understand money. They fear it. They avoid it. But if you invest 1 hour a day into learning how money works, how to grow it, protect it, and multiply it, you start to take control. You break free from the cycle of scarcity. You build a future of abundance. The best part? Financial knowledge compounds, just like financial investments. The more you learn, the more opportunities you begin to see. The beauty of the 1 hour a day principle is that it's flexible. You don't have to do the same thing every day. Some days you might focus on your mind, others on your body, some on your spirit or your skills or your finances. The key is to use that hour with intention, not just to pass the time, but to build something with it, to become someone because of it. That hour becomes your sanctuary, your lab, your gym, your altar. It's where you grow, one brick at a time. And here's the deeper truth. When you change one area of your life, others often follow. Improving your health gives you more energy to build your career. Strengthening your mind helps you solve financial problems more creatively. Deepening your spiritual life helps you stay grounded through professional challenges. These aren't isolated efforts. They're deeply connected. One small transformation often leads to another, until suddenly you're not just changing your habits, you're changing your identity. People often say they don't have time, but the time is there. It's hiding in your mornings, your evenings, your lunch breaks, and your weekends. The question is, what are you willing to give up in exchange for the life you truly want? An hour of TV, an hour of scrolling, an hour of mindless busyness? Because when you exchange those things for growth, you don't lose, you win. You trade distraction for purpose. You trade frustration for momentum. 1 hour a day may not seem like much, but for weeks, months, and years, it becomes the foundation of your transformation. And eventually you look in the mirror and realize you've changed. Not by accident, but by design. 1 hour a day may seem like a small slice of time, but when you step back and do the math, its impact is staggering. 1 hour a day, every day, adds up to 365 hours in a year. That's the equivalent of over 9 full 40-hour work weeks. Imagine the kind of progress you could make in any area of your life with 9 extra work weeks dedicated solely to your growth, your goals, or your passion. While most people drift through the year without direction, you could be stacking up hundreds of hours of purposeful action that brings you closer to the life you want. Think about how much can be accomplished in just a single 40-hour work week. Companies hire people full-time to dedicate that amount of time weekly to complete significant projects. Now picture yourself giving that same level of commitment to your dream, your health, your education, your personal growth, or anything else that truly matters to you, but on your own terms. Not only is it possible, it's incredibly effective. It's not about having endless free time. It's about maximizing the small pockets of time you do have and understanding the massive return that comes from consistency, most people underestimate the value of compounding time. They believe transformation requires dramatic, life-altering changes all at once. So they wait. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect mood, the perfect circumstances. But life rarely delivers those conditions. The people who achieve great things are not the ones who wait for time. They're the ones who create it. They carve out that 1 hour a day, protect it, and treat it as sacred. Over time, that daily hour compounds into a force that redefines their capabilities and their future. Let's say you're passionate about starting a business, but you're working a full-time job. You may feel overwhelmed, like you don't have the time. But imagine dedicating 1 hour each evening to your idea. Within a year, you'd have 365 hours of planning, learning, testing, building, and refining. You know more than most people who only talk about their dreams but never take action. Your business may not be fully built in a year, but it would be real. Maybe your goal is to become fluent in a known language, but 1 focused hour a day using apps, books, videos, and conversation practice, you could make remarkable progress. Language experts often say that around 500, 600 hours of focused learning is enough to become conversationally fluent in many languages. If you commit to 1 hour a day, you're almost there within a year, and you will be well past fluency by the second, all from a single hour of your day. Or imagine if you used 1 hour a day to improve your physical health. You commit to exercising, meal prepping, or learning about nutrition. Over 365 hours of effort translates into a complete lifestyle shift. You don't just change your weight or your appearance. You change how you feel every day. You gain more energy, mental clarity, and confidence, and all of that positively influences every other area of your life, from relationships to productivity to mood. Education is another massive area where this principle works wonders. 1 hour a day of reading, studying, or taking online courses can lead to the equivalent of a college-level education over time. You can learn to code, master graphic design, dive into psychology, study philosophy, or understand personal finance just by repurposing 1 hour a day into intentional learning. In a world where knowledge is at your fingertips, your willingness to access it consistently is what sets you apart. What makes the concept so powerful is that it doesn't demand a life overhaul. You don't have to quit your job or withdraw from society to pursue your goals. You simply need to be deliberate with a fraction of your time. The average person spends more than 2 hours a day on social media or television. If you reclaim just half of that, you'd have your hour. You wouldn't lose your lifestyle, you'd just refine it. It's easy to look at a year as 12 months or 52 weeks. But when you break it down to 1 hour at a time, the path to progress becomes clear. That 1 hour isn't just an hour, it's investment. It's proof that you're taking responsibility for your life. And when you look back after a year, you won't just see the hours you gave, you'll see the results you earned, the knowledge, the strength, the progress, the momentum. It all adds up. In the end, success doesn't belong to those with the most time. It belongs to those who use their time the most wisely. So if you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed, or like your goals are out of reach, remember this. You don't need 10 extra hours a day to change your life. You need one. One focused, committed, and consistent hour. That's your edge. That's your power. And that's the path to transformation. One of the greatest lies we tell ourselves is that we don't have time. We say it so often that it becomes a belief, a limitation we accept without question. But the truth is, we do have time, we just don't use it wisely. In fact, we waste more time in a single day than we realize. The key to changing your life is not about finding more time. It's about reclaiming the time you already have and investing it in a way that creates momentum, growth, and purpose. 1 hour a day is not beyond your reach. It's already there, waiting to be taken back from the things that dull serve you. Start by looking at your daily routine. How much time do you spend scrolling aimlessly through your phone? How many hours are lost to television shows, YouTube rabbit holes, or social media distractions? For many people, it's at least 2 to 3 hours a day, sometimes more. That's not time spent resting or rejuvenating. That's time spent in passive consumption. The average person taps their phone over 2,600 times a day. That number alone is a wake-up call. The minutes slip through your fingers, not because you're lazy, but because you're not being intentional. Now imagine what would happen if you'd redirected just one of those wasted hours. You don't have to delete your social media accounts or eliminate all entertainment, but if you made a conscious decision to block out 60 minutes every day, just 1 hour, for focused self-improvement, everything could change. That hour could become your most powerful habit. It could be your time to read, to train, to build a business, to create, to learn, or simply to reflect. That hour becomes the difference between staying where you are and moving forward with purpose. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aware. You don't need to overhaul your entire schedule in a single day. Just start noticing. Notice when you're mindlessly checking your phone. Notice when a short break turns into an hour lost to a video feed. Notice the patterns that rob you of your time and start reclaiming that space. 1 hour is not a luxury. It's a necessity if you're serious about living a meaningful, fulfilling life. Some people think they're too busy to carve out an hour, but the truth is they're too distracted. Busy doesn't always mean productive. You can be busy all day and accomplish nothing that moves your life forward. That's why taking control of just 1 hour can be a game changer. It shifts your day from reactive to intentional. Instead of being pulled in every direction, you take a stand and say, this hour is mine, and in that hour, you work on you, your growth, your dreams, your purpose. Here's the thing. You don't need motivation to start. You need a decision. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the weather. But decisions are different. When you decide to give yourself 1 hour every day, no matter what, you're building discipline. And discipline is what carries you through the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. That 1 hour done consistently becomes a ritual, a personal contract with yourself. You begin to value your time differently. You stop giving it away to people and habits that drain you. And as you reclaim that hour each day, something amazing happens. You build momentum. Momentum is what turns a single step into a walk into a run, and a run into a lifestyle. It creates progress that fuels itself. Every day you show up, every hour you invest, you're stacking wins. They may feel small at first, but over time they compound. And what once felt like effort becomes part of who you are. You start seeing the results. not just in what you achieve, but in how you think, feel, and carry yourself. People will start to notice, not because you told them, but because they'll see the difference in you. You'll be sharper, more confident, more focused. You'll be someone who honors their time, who values growth, and who is moving forward when others are standing still. That kind of energy is rare, and it's magnetic. So if you've ever said, I don't have time, ask yourself this: what am I giving my time to? Is it helping me become who I want to be, or is it keeping me stuck? The answers will tell you everything, and once you see it clearly, you realize that the time was always there. You just had to claim it. 1 hour a day. That's all it takes to change your direction. It's not overwhelming. It's not impossible. It's just a matter of choice. Reclaim that hour. Own it. Use it. And let it be the start of something extraordinary, because the life you want isn't built in one day. It's built 1 hour at a time. One of the most powerful truths you will ever learn is that success leaves clues. If you want to succeed in any area of your life, whether it's your health, career, finances, mindset, or relationships, the fastest way to do it is to learn from those who've already walked the path. And here's where 1 hour a day becomes your greatest tool. That daily hour isn't just time spent grinding or hustling. It's your opportunity to absorb wisdom, adopt proven strategies, and avoid costly mistakes by studying those who've already achieved what you aspire to become. 1 hour a day spent learning from mentors, whether in person, in books, podcasts, courses, or videos, can save you years of trial, error, and frustration. We live in the most information-rich era in history. At your fingertips, you have access to the minds of the greatest thinkers, entrepreneurs, leaders, and creatives the world has ever known. You can read biographies of people like Steve Jobs, Nelson Mandela, or Elon Musk. You can listen to interviews with world-class performers, study lectures from top universities, and dive into the teachings of spiritual masters. The only question is whether you choose to tap into that power or let it go unused. 1 hour a day spent absorbing the mindset, habits, and strategies of people who've already succeeded can elevate you far beyond your peers who are just guessing their way through life. Imagine you want to become a successful entrepreneur. You could spend years figuring things out the hard way, or you could use your daily hour to study how others built their businesses. What books did they read? What routines did they follow? What mistakes did they make, and how did they overcome them? Instead of walking blindly into pitfalls, you can sidestep them. Instead of reinventing the wheel, you can build upon proven systems. In this way, you're not just working hard, you're working smart. Let's say your goal is personal growth. You want to become more disciplined, confident, and focused. 1 hour a day spent studying people who embody those traits can help you shift your identity. You'll start to understand how high performers think, how they manage their time, how they handle adversity. You'll see patterns in their behavior, and over time, you'll begin to emulate them. Success is not reserved for a chosen few. It's available to anyone who is willing to learn and apply what they've learned with consistency. This is where the real power of 1 hour a day comes alive. Because it's not just about passive learning. It's about active transformation. As you take in this wisdom, you begin to align your actions, beliefs, and mindset with a higher standard. You stop making excuses. You stop settling for average. You start asking better questions, setting bigger goals, and holding yourself to a new level of accountability, all because you've been immersing yourself in the thoughts and teachings of people who have already done what you want to do. It's not about copying someone else's life. It's about extracting what works for you. Maybe you learn a productivity technique from one person, a mindset shift from another, and a morning routine from someone else. Over time, you begin to build your own success blueprint, one that fits your personality, your values, and your vision. But none of that happens by accident. It happens because you made a decision to devote just 1 hour a day to learning and growth. And here's the best part. Mentors don't have to be alive or know you personally. Books can mentor you. Podcasts can mentor you. Videos and interviews can mentor you. Some of the most successful people in the world were mentored by authors and thinkers who had passed away decades or centuries before. Their wisdom is timeless, and it's all available to you if you're willing to seek it out. But the key is consistency. 1 hour once in a while won't change your life. 1 hour a day will. Over a week, that's 7 hours of focused, intentional learning. Over a month, it's 30 hours. Over a year, it's 365 hours. Almost 10 full-time work weeks devoted solely to absorbing the knowledge of people who've already achieved greatness. Can you imagine how much your thinking would evolve after that kind of exposure? Can you imagine how many breakthroughs, realizations, and opportunities you'd uncover? The truth is, you don't have to figure it all out on your own. You don't have to stumble through the dark, hoping you'll eventually find your way. You can stand on the shoulders of giants. You can leverage the experiences of others to fast-track your journey. You can avoid the detours and get straight to the destination, not by cutting corners, but by walking the path with greater clarity and direction. 1 hour a day, that's the price of wisdom. That's the investment required to learn from the best. It's not expensive, but it is priceless, because when you make that time to study success, you don't just gain knowledge, you gain perspective, strategy, and confidence. And in a world where many people are blindly chasing dreams, you become one of the few who are building them with purpose.